The chaos surrounding the Luna Nozawa case has sent the bold and the beautiful into uncharted territory, but just as the courtroom battle threatens to determine her fate, a discovery outside the courthouse ignites an even more dangerous inferno, one that may consume Bill Spencer himself. Behind the scenes, Dr. Lee Finnegan has been quietly working. Suspicious of how easily Luna obtained the weapon found in her apartment, the same weapon she nearly pulled on Will Spencer. Lee begins her own private investigation. And what she uncovers is nothing short of devastating. Using her hospital contacts and an anonymous cybersecurity expert she met during a prior crisis, Lee traces the firearm. A standard Glock 9mm, unregistered. Clean serial, no fingerprints. But the purchase? It leads to a transaction made just days before Luna vanished and the gun was found. The buyer name is redacted. But the payment? It came from an offshore account previously linked to none other than Bill Spencer. Lee doesn't panic. She digs deeper. She doesn't want guesses, she wants confirmation. Within hours, she uncovers a payment slip that shows Spencer's signature, authorized digitally, linked to a weapons distributor known for catering to high-profile discretion. This isn't just reckless. It's illegal. And if police confirm the purchase was made for Luna. Or worse, if they believe it enabled her to arm herself before targeting Will, Bill Spencer could face serious criminal charges, accessory before the fact, unlawful arms dealing, and if prosecutors stretch it, complicity in attempted murder. Lee immediately calls Chief Deputy Baker. She's not seeking revenge. She's seeking the truth. Baker listens. He asks for the proof. Lee provides it, including the encrypted email trail and the transaction log. Baker's face darkens. He's known Bill Spencer a long time, respected his business acumen, tolerated his arrogance. But if this sticks, it means one of the most powerful men in Los Angeles helped facilitate a crime against his own son. Word spreads fast. The DA's office locks down the court filings. A sealed investigation is opened, and Bill Spencer is subpoenaed for questioning. His legal team is blindsided. For weeks, Bill has remained a shadow behind Will's sting operation, refusing interviews, dodging subpoenas, managing PR through third-party crisis teams. But now he's at the center. No longer the puppet master. Now the puppet on a noose. Brooke Logan is the first to confront him. She storms into his office unannounced, throws the newspaper on his desk. Spencer Empire under fire. Did Bill buy the gun? The headline screams across the front page. Brooke doesn't yell. She's beyond that. Tell me it's not true, she demands. Tell me you didn't finance the weapon she almost used on your son. Bill doesn't answer right away. He looks at her, weary, calculating. I never thought she'd actually pull it, he says, voice low. I thought if she had it, she'd feel safe. That's all. Brooke's jaw tightens. That's not a defense. That's delusion. Meanwhile, Ridge Forrester receives the same news from Steffy. She's livid. He funded it, Dad. The man gave her a loaded weapon and then let Will walk into her apartment with no backup, no surveillance. If Luna had pulled the trigger, Will would be dead. And it'd be his fault. Ridge explodes. His hatred for Bill Spencer has been simmering for years, but this is the last straw. He storms into Spencer Publications later that day and confronts Bill in front of half the executive team. If you had even one shred of decency, you'd resign before they drag you out in cuffs. Bill stands his ground, but his silence is damning. At the courthouse, Luna's legal team seizes the moment. They call for a delay, then file a motion claiming their client was framed by the Spencers. They suggest that the firearm was planted, purchased in Luna's name without her knowledge. The goal? Trap her, push her into an unstable corner, then use her reactions to justify prosecution. It's a bold, high-risk strategy. But in the wake of Lee's revelation, it lands with more weight than anyone expected. Will Spencer is blindsided by the turn. He believed his father was supporting him, not enabling the enemy. In private, he confronts Bill. "Did you really buy her a gun?" Bill doesn't deny it. "It was meant to be a deterrent," he says, voice flat. "I thought if she felt safe, she'd open up to you faster." Will walks away without a word. For the first time, he questions whether the mission was ever his, or just another one of his father's power plays. In a strategic move, Luna's new legal team submits a counter-motion, a request to subpoena Bill's full financial records from the 3 months leading up to the sting. If the court grants it, and it likely will, the entire inner structure of the Spencer empire could be exposed. Every off-book payment, every non-disclosure agreement, every black budget fund Bill has used to control narratives and silence scandals for years. The grand jury reconvenes. Baker testifies behind closed doors. Evidence is mounting. If the firearm is officially traced to Bill's offshore account, and if Luna's fingerprints aren't on the weapon itself, the prosecution's entire strategy could collapse. Worse, Bill could face federal charges for arms trafficking. Accessory charges could stick, depending on whether the court views his actions as enabling a violent crime. The media is already sharpening the knives. Steffy is furious. "We let that man anywhere near our company, our lives. And look where it got us." Finn, ever the voice of reason, tries to hold her back. "We don't know the full picture yet," he says, but even he doesn't believe it anymore. Elektra is spiraling. Still recovering from her betrayal at Will's hands, she now faces the possibility that her family is being dragged into a scandal that could destroy their brand, their stock, and their reputation. She disappears from the public eye. Rumors swirl that she's considering a tell-all interview. Brooke tries to reach her, but she won't answer. Ridge urges Steffy to go on offense, to distance the Forresters from the Spencers publicly. Taylor, however, urges caution. "We can't afford to blow this up any further," she warns. But it's already out of control. The courtroom becomes a media circus. Protesters, reporters, Spencer haters, Luna supporters. The judge increases security. The court calendar is restructured. Summer will be ruled by this trial. This is no longer just about Luna's guilt. This is about who set the stage for violence and who will pay. Bill's attorneys prepare a defense. They claim the transaction was legal, that the firearm was purchased for personal protection and gifted anonymously, without knowledge of Luna's mental state. But the timing is damning. The connection to the sting, the proximity to Will. It all paints a very different story. As summer drags on, the question isn't just whether Luna will walk free. It's whether Bill Spencer will fall. Whether the empire he built will survive the revelation that he armed the woman who nearly murdered his son. And whether Brooke, Ridge, Steffy, Elektra, and the entire tangled web of families will ever recover from what's coming. Because the truth has a body count. And this time, it might take down the king himself. As the investigation tightens around Bill Spencer, what was once a carefully controlled operation to expose Luna Nozawa begins collapsing under its own weight. Every attempt at damage control fails. Leaks flood the press. Whispers of a federal indictment against Bill start spreading across the legal and corporate worlds. Inside the courthouse, prosecutors exchange tense glances. Bill Spencer, one of the most powerful media moguls in the country, is suddenly the man on the edge of ruin. Deputy Chief Baker confirms that the Glock 9mm found in Luna's apartment was indeed purchased with funds traced back to an offshore Spencer account. Bill's signature, already authenticated, now becomes the centerpiece of a new criminal inquiry. The DA's office officially files a motion to expand the case. What began as a trial against Luna Nozawa for conspiracy and attempted assault now morphs into a sprawling, high-profile double prosecution, one against the accused, the other against the man who may have empowered her. Bill is summoned before a grand jury. He invokes counsel. His lawyers argue that his intent was never criminal. It was a protective measure, his lead counsel says. Nothing more. But the jury is unconvinced. They want accountability. They want an answer to one question. Why did he purchase a weapon for a woman under surveillance by his own son? Meanwhile, Luna, calm and frighteningly composed, uses the opening to shift the narrative. She walks into court the next morning not as the hunted, but as a woman wronged. Her testimony is measured, exact, and devastating. She tells the court about the nights she spent feeling watched, the questions Will asked, the pressure to open up. She explains how she was manipulated into romantic intimacy under false pretenses. She never denies her words about Steffy, but she reframes them. They knew I was venting, she tells the jury. They turned frustration into evidence. And Bill gave me a weapon just to see what I do. Gasps ripple through the gallery. Taylor buries her face in her hands. Steffy glares toward Luna with fire in her eyes. Brooke stares directly at Bill, hard, cold, and unreadable. But the drama doesn't stop in the courtroom. Outside, protesters clash in front of the courthouse. Free Luna signs clash with Prosecute Spencer chants. Security is doubled. Forrester Creations halts its latest campaign as buyers pull out, citing public relations risk. Spencer Publications begins to hemorrhage ad revenue. The stock hits a 2-year low. The board schedules an emergency meeting. Bill's executive privileges are suspended pending legal outcome. Liam and Wyatt are called in to stabilize the business, but privately, both question whether the company can survive their father's collapse. Behind the scenes, Brooke visits Bill for the first time since the allegations. She demands the full truth. He tries to explain it away. Calls it a calculated risk, says he never expected Luna to go that far, claims he was trying to help Will close the case. Brooke, stone-faced, doesn't flinch. You used your son. You used me. You armed a girl you didn't understand and nearly got her killed or worse. You let power become your only compass. She leaves without waiting for an answer. Outside, Nick Marone is waiting for her. He offers no words, just an arm, and Brooke takes it. Meanwhile, Will faces a full-blown identity crisis. Once proud of his involvement in the sting, he now questions everything. Was he ever really in control? Did his father use him too? Did Elektra's heartbreak mean nothing to either of them? He tries to speak with her, but Elektra has already made her decision. You lied with your lips, she says quietly, but it's your silence now that tells me who you really are. In a final blow, Lee Finnegan is called as a surprise witness. She delivers her findings in exacting detail, connecting bank records, timestamps, and the weapon's path from vendor to Luna's drawer. The jury listens in stunned silence. The prosecution calls for Bill to be added as a co-defendant in the case. The judge agrees. The trial's scope officially expands to include conspiracy and negligent endangerment. For the first time, Bill Spencer faces not just a scandal, but actual prison time. Ridge watches it all unfold, torn between vindication and unease. Steffy, though, is resolute. He built his empire by crushing everyone else's. Maybe it's his turn. Brooke doesn't respond. But she knows Steffy is right. As the season nears its end, Luna's case remains on the knife's edge. Some jurors believe she was manipulated. Others see her as cold and calculating. The verdict could go either way. But the fall of Bill Spencer is already set in motion. And when a man like Bill falls, he doesn't fall alone. He drags everyone with him. The final image of the season is burned into every viewer's mind. Luna stands in the courtroom as the judge reads her charges again. Beside her, an empty chair once reserved for her attorney now holds a subpoena for Bill Spencer. And across the aisle, Will stares at her, haunted, ashamed, and for the first time, uncertain of what's right. The bold and the beautiful has always thrived on love, betrayal, and lies. But this time, the stakes are real. The empire is cracking. And the courtroom has become the battlefield where dynasties either survive or are buried forever.